is that the reason that Black people are trained to see their own oppression is it's because if you view yourself as a victim, you become your own oppressor. It's a mental prison. You can't get ahead. You're constantly thinking people are seeing you because of the color of your skin. And that is the real sadness of what's happening in our society.
In a world where reality and perception seem to blur more each day, Candace Owens stands out as a bold voice challenging the status quo. She takes on the controversial issues shaping today's society, from cultural shifts to debates about family values, tackling topics many shy away from. Candace is unafraid to question what's become widely accepted as normal, urging us to reconsider the ideas we often take for granted. One of her key focuses is how modern culture reshapes language. She argues that changing the meaning of words alters how we communicate and understand one another, leading to confusion and division. If you're ready for an unfiltered perspective on today's cultural challenges, subscribe and join us for this thought-provoking discussion. Let's dive into some of her most striking insights and explore how they challenge the way we see the world.
Actually, I said words have meaning. And so when you start allowing the perverts to dictate speech, then words just have to go away. And as I said in that clip, when I was growing up and I was reading English novels, when people say you're walking through the woods to get it meant a bundle of sticks. And then they said you can no longer say this word that has a real meaning, right? A bundle of sticks, because some pervert took that and threw it as an epithet towards gay people. I think that's actually, that's a wrong way of thinking, because then what you're doing is you're allowing perverts to dictate society. So I don't like the death of the English language because people are getting offended. So that's like, I could pick any word. I could say, plant. And from now on, every time I see a gay guy, I'm gonna be like, he's a total plant. And then eventually they say you can't say plant anymore. It's like, no, this is a real word that has meaning. Attack the person who's perverting the word, but you don't suddenly disappear a word and you say you can no longer say it, or you can no longer read these Virginia Woolf novels because the word has been perverted. I think that's a backwards way of thinking.
Read Virginia Woolf novels, and the only people I know who are trying to ban books, Virginia Woolf.
Candace argues that altering words to avoid offending others or to align with specific viewpoints often weakens their original meaning, making honest communication harder. Instead of censoring language, she believes we should focus on the intent behind harmful words. By addressing the underlying issues rather than changing the words themselves, we can maintain clarity and foster more open conversations.
Now, to survive in woke culture, you have to become a liar. You have to pretend that you think fat is beautiful. You have to pretend to be race obsessed. You have to pretend that you think Dylan Mulvaney is a woman and should be included in female spaces. We are being told that you have to lie repeatedly in order to survive in corporate culture. And she is herself a victim of that and a perpetuator of that. So yeah, it's absolutely shameful, and she should feel ashamed that she brought this idea to Bud Light. But I do believe that she was conditioned. I mean, she went to Harvard. What do we think goes on? What do we believe is the sociology of people that graduate Harvard? They are basically being told that this is the way that they should think. And there's one more thing I want to say here, Tucker, because it's deeply upsetting to me. There is a post-analysis that needs to happen here on why it is that Dylan Mulvaney for 365 days was able to openly mock women, to openly take the spaces of women, to get contracts from Ulta Beauty, to take, contracts from other women and all these sponsorships, and nobody cared until suddenly Dylan Mulvaney traversed into a male space and it became unacceptable. Why? Because men don't tolerate this level of lies in the way that women do, right? We respond emotionally and not rationally. We should have been the ones to put an end to Dylan Mulvaney, but we didn't because we feel bad. And shouldn't we just feel bad for men that want to be women and mock us and put on lipstick and pigtails and call themselves a girl? I think not, Tucker, but woke culture says yes.
Candace builds on this idea by highlighting how many people feel compelled to conform to certain viewpoints just to fit in socially or professionally. She argues that sacrificing personal beliefs for acceptance creates a culture of conformity, stifling genuine self-expression and individuality.
Isn't it so sad that we have to talk about basic biology, especially when we're dealing with somebody who's a 32-year-old congresswoman? I'm sorry, did I say congresswoman? I meant Congress menstruating person, because apparently we're no longer allowed to say women. I mean, this is so ridiculous. And here's what's really funny. She immediately cripples her own argument here, right? Her argument is that the evil GOP, they're taking away actions that women were allowed to take via abortion, but she's immediately saying something worse. Forget the actions women can take. Are women even allowed to exist anymore? This is what her side represents. It is so radical to not even be able to formulate the word woman because you feel too scared, because you need to accommodate all of these various genders, and trans people are also women, and this is also women. No, women are women. If you cannot enter a debate about abortion and even identify what it means to be a woman, you have no place in that debate.
Candace points out that redefining fundamental terms, especially those tied to identity, creates confusion that makes it harder to have clear conversations about essential rights and responsibilities. She believes that as these core ideas become more fluid, misunderstandings grow and boundaries blur. For her, keeping definitions stable is key to fostering honest, productive dialogue. Clear, consistent terms provide a solid foundation for meaningful discussions, helping everyone engage without the need to constantly revisit and reinterpret basic concepts. Next, she explores how these ideological shifts influence education and shape the development of young people.
How do we get to a place where, and maybe you can help me. Why is it smart people, right, that believe the dumbest stuff? Like, you have to go to college to believe some of this stuff. It's so stupid.
You do. When people tell me how many degrees they have, I know that they're further and further from reality, right? Because they haven't actually done anything practically in their lives but learned stuff, and they're very convinced. And there's a reason for that, by the way. And I know it's ironic saying this on a college campus, but you guys are seeing this in your classrooms. And I know that the stuff that there are classrooms now that make you say what your gender pronouns are. That's absolute foolishness. That's foolishness, right? It didn't exist when we were in school. You didn't have to do this because we understood what your pronouns were just by looking at you. And yet you're paying a very hefty sum to learn stupid stuff like that, right? To believe that there can be more, and you can be, a squid on a Monday if you want to be, and a mermaid on a Friday. Yeah, I'm a squid. It's a new one, but check out TikTok because there are squids.
Squid gender.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. But why not, right? As soon as you start saying that what you think is true, then you can be an animal one day if you'd like to. But the reason for that is simple, and then it really brings you back to Marxist ideology. So I believe, and I would really have to examine if the college education system does not get a complete and utter makeover, I wouldn't send my child. And because what you really understand what they're doing is they're intentionally manufacturing people that are learning actually very little, but come out with a tremendous amount of confidence, right? So you can now enroll and you can get a major, you can get a degree in queer studies, right? Or I don't know what that means. Like, you can get a degree in gender studies. How did you spend $100,000 in 4 years learning something that I literally learned in kindergarten?
Candace raises concerns about whether higher education has drifted away from teaching practical, essential skills in favor of promoting specific ideologies. She suggests that this shift might leave graduates unprepared for real-world challenges, lacking common sense and problem-solving abilities. In her view, an education system focused more on theory than practical knowledge risks creating individuals who struggle to handle everyday life. Candace advocates for a return to emphasizing applicable skills and critical thinking, which she believes would better prepare students for success beyond the classroom.
Why would someone want to convince me of my own victimhood? Who benefits from that? Why would there be an entire ecosystem via the Department of Education that is hell-bent on teaching people to align with certain victim groups? Why? And by the way, that's probably a really big question that you ask yourselves a lot today when you look up and you just go, what the heck are we even arguing about? I mean, go back in a time machine in your head even seven years ago. If someone said to you, hey, in the near future, people are going to be arguing about bathroom signs. Not enough pronouns on that door. You'd be like, are you crazy? No, it's chill. Everyone's like, male, female. You just go with bathroom. It's not going to happen. You would have thought they were crazy. So this is one of these things you just go, why? Who benefits from an argument? How did this become an argument? Nobody cared.
Candace reflects on the debates surrounding pronouns, bathroom signs, and similar topics, questioning how these issues have taken center stage. She suggests that this focus often diverts attention from more pressing societal challenges. Candace also expresses concern that emphasizing victimhood can limit people's ability to recognize their own potential. Instead, she advocates for fostering resilience and a growth mindset, believing this approach is essential for personal empowerment and success.
Difference between how the left thinks and how conservatives think. You see, with liberals, it's a game of opposites, right? If you're short, just blame tall people. If you're black, just blame white people. If you're poor, you should just blame rich people. For what you don't have, you just have to look at the opposite and say, this is the reason why. If you're a woman, you can simply blame men. It's thoughtless. It's completely thoughtless. It isn't critical thought. It's just go, I don't have that, and it must be because of the opposite. They externalize every single problem that they have. If there's a problem in my life, then I have to seek why that problem is in the outside world. And I think that conservatives, we do the exact opposite, right? We internalize the problem. If we have a problem, we say, this is my problem, right? And I have to fix it. What can I do to actually fix this?
Candace contrasts two ways of dealing with challenges, taking personal accountability versus placing blame on external factors. She argues that promoting personal responsibility helps individuals build independence and confidence. On the other hand, encouraging a victim mindset can create dependency and hinder personal growth. For Candace, fostering accountability is key to empowering people to take charge of their own lives.
She shows people just how radical the left has become. In fact, there was never this much conversation about how radical the left is until she entered in and she said, I'm a socialist. She started stomping around. And so people may not like her platform, but I think it is for the better. You know, when she does something like she did today and she says, oh, the patriarchy and patriarchal ideas and all this stuff that they're saying, and they're reducing us to a uterus, while at the same time not recognizing that she's reducing women to the idea that we're just menstruating persons, which is way worse. I'd rather be a uterus than be referred to as a menstruating person. You know, it's good for our side. People need to see this. People need to see just how radical the left has become.
Candace asserts that outspoken figures on the left often bring ideological extremes into the spotlight. This, she believes, helps the public better understand the political and cultural divides. Transitioning to traditional family roles, she highlights the importance of both masculinity and femininity in building strong, balanced relationships, emphasizing their complementary value in fostering healthy dynamics.
How it all ties in with one another. Feminism, what is that, right? Modern feminism, getting women to hate men, telling women you don't need a man, right? We've dressed down manhood. Men, we don't need you. We can be bad all by ourselves, right? And then at the same time that you're telling women to man up, right? Do it all by yourself, climb the corporate ladder, don't aspire to family, these are the lessons. Don't shave your armpits, nobody knows why, but don't do that, okay? At the same time that we're telling women to man up, we're telling men to act like women. Toxic masculinity, that's the term, right? Another one of their free little terms. Toxic, are you acting like a man? Are you standing up straight, right? Something's wrong with you. Do you have testosterone? But something's wrong with you. You need to fix that. Do you want to go play sports and drink a beer? Something's wrong with you. Toxic masculinity. You need to be a wimp. You need to walk with your tail in between your legs, right? They're telling women to be angry when men hold doors for them. What? Telling women, if you really want to show how equal you are, when he takes you on a date, demand to pay half. Okay, guys, you can do that. Sounds like the worst deal ever, right? Who's having a problem with this? Yeah, no, you can pay for me. Just chill, right? But this is what we're fighting to end. Why?
Candace critiques modern feminism, arguing that it has strayed from its original goal of promoting genuine equality. Instead, she believes it now encourages division between genders by emphasizing empowerment through opposition. She feels this approach fosters tension rather than collaboration. Candace advocates for mutual respect and appreciation between men and women, seeing it as essential for building strong relationships and healthier, more resilient families. For her, a society grounded in respect and understanding between genders creates balance and support. Shifting focus, she then addresses the broader social consequences of ongoing cultural changes.
That our digital activism over these perceived acts of inhumanity can itself become the act of inhumanity. That as a society, we tend to drum up these hurricanes to combat what may initially have just been a storm.
Candace argues that social media tends to blow minor issues out of proportion, turning them into widespread social conflicts. Instead of encouraging understanding and solutions, This often deepens divisions between people.
That it is an issue that I care passionately about. I am a mother to young children. Why does a drag queen want access to a child? Can anybody answer that big question? Okay, you're a man and you like to dress up as a woman and go to nightclubs. Okay, flying your free flag high. Now you're demanding access to read books to children. Does that not just does it pass the sniff test, guys?
Candace expresses serious concerns about the growing presence of adult content in spaces meant for children. She argues that clear boundaries are necessary to create an environment that supports healthy development and protects innocence. Introducing children to mature themes too soon, she believes, can disrupt their natural growth and expose them to ideas they're not ready to understand. For Candace, maintaining these boundaries is crucial to ensure children can experience childhood without influences that could harm their well-being or distort their understanding of age-appropriate behavior. Finally, she touches on racial issues, emphasizing her belief in the power of a shared identity to foster unity.
That's not the case. I mean, I went to university. I did not feel good, right? I didn't pull the best grades in high school, probably got into a better university than I should have gotten into based on my performance in high school. It wasn't because of my feelings. It's because I wasn't focused on it. And that we're talking about a cultural problem, what's going on back at home, as was in my circumstance. And none of that is because of institutionalized policy. It almost seems like you guys refuse to accept that, Black students aren't performing well. You feel like you have to have this burden of responsibility when, in fact, if you actually wanted to help, you would look at the facts, re-examine the fact that it's not helping anybody. It's not helping Black Americans to artificially place them into universities, and you'd make effective change.
But you're making the assumption that Black students are academically inferior, and they're not.
No,
they're some of our most brilliant students that we have.
That's the basic. No. That you are making the assumption that they are inferior.
You just said that they don't belong there.
Policies. I'm talking about the students that are based on the policies that you are defending right now, saying that we should have these policies that let them into these universities, not based on their skill set, but based on the color of their skin. So you are assuming that they are inferior.
Candace argues that when we focus too much on identity rather than merit, we risk creating a mindset where people are defined by labels instead of their abilities and achievements. She believes this shift can hold people back, especially in communities where self-reliance and empowerment could spark positive change. By prioritizing achievement and accountability, Candace suggests individuals can build resilience, break free from limiting narratives, and reach their full potential. For her, success is about recognizing one's capabilities and rising above social labels to focus on personal growth and excellence.
First advice that I would give you, and it's the best advice that I ever received in my life, and I think I got it from myself, is to not see yourself as Black and to see yourself as an American, because my entire world changed when I had my awakening, as I like to describe it, and I realized that the way that we are meant to feel, the way that I felt for 20 plus years of my life was designed. It was a mental prison that I had stepped into, hadn't created for myself, but that I had stepped into purposefully by design. The education system, the messaging from culture telling us constantly that we're Black. People will never understand us, right? I believed that Republicans were racist and backwards, that I couldn't walk into those rooms and do anything because I was meant to believe those things. And I had my big awakening. It happened, it's a bit of a longer story, but it happened in 2015. And suddenly I realized that the reason that Black people are trained to see their own oppression is it's because if you view yourself as a victim, you become your own oppressor. It's a mental prison. You can't get ahead. You're constantly thinking people are seeing you because of the color of your skin. And that is the real sadness of what's happening in our society, is that all we are doing is preventing people from going out in the world and trying something because they're so fearful that they're going to be rejected because of this color of their skin. So I would say as soon as you start seeing yourself as American and connecting with people that hold that same philosophy, you just unlock all of your creativity and every single passion that you've ever had in your life, and you know that you can do it because you know it's possible, and that the only thing that's stopping you is your mentality.
Ending on a hopeful note, Candace advocates for a national identity that unites us as Americans, encouraging people to look beyond societal labels and work together towards shared goals. Throughout her discussions on shifting language, identity politics, and changing family dynamics, Candace challenges us to think critically about the values we accept as normal. So, what do you think? Do you agree with her perspective, or do you see things differently? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and join the conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like the video and subscribe for more discussions on today's biggest topics. Every like and comment helps us reach more people and spark meaningful conversations. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.